Welcome to Transformative Truths, quotes for learning, growing, and becoming. I'm Sarah Waldron Brinton.
I'm Wally Goddard.
And we're happy to be here again.
We are. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks to everyone who is tuning in, and we just hope that something we say might make your day a little brighter.
Yes.
And would you believe it, we have another quote. This is from our friend
Harry Emerson Fosdick. What a great thinker and a great spiritual man.
He has some things to teach us about faith, and
Yes.
more than we could share in one podcast, so don't be surprised if we talk about his wisdom again. Today, we would like to share a couple of excerpts that help us reflect on the meaning of life and finding purpose.
Yes.
He says this: we must believe that there is a purpose running through the stern, forbidding process. What men have needed most of all in suffering is not to know the explanation, but to know that there is an explanation. And religious faith alone gives confidence that human tragedy is not the meaningless sport of physical forces, making our life what Voltaire called it, a bad joke.
Yeah, we don't have to know the purpose. We just have to know that God knows that there is one, huh?
Yeah, and I think sometimes it can be really easy to get caught up on questions like, why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
I don't always know the reasons why we go through all of these things, but it is so assuring to know that we have an omniscient, endlessly loving Father who can sort that all out for us.
Yes. And sometimes, Sarah, people have assumed that troubles mean that you're a mess, that you deserve what you're getting. And I think a better way to think about it is God customizes our experiences to maximize our growth. That means that sometimes really marvelous people will also have substantial hardships.
Amen. Boy, I can think of several people in my life going through hardships right now where I think they're about the last person on earth to deserve that.
Yeah.
And yet many handle it with grace and faith. And I wonder if it isn't these difficult experiences that contribute to those qualities.
Yeah, that it's a refinement.
Yeah. I did do my undergraduate work in sculpture, and I was always really fascinated with that refining process when we would cast something in, bronze. And here you have this molten hot liquid, and you're just scraping the dross. And what people maybe don't realize is that when you're casting something, whether it be in bronze or gold or silver, any metal, there is quite a process, a difficult process before that, just to make the mold.
Oh, yes.
To pour first you make the sculpture, then you make the mold, and you have to break apart kind of your sculpture to make even just the mold, which has to go through its own refining fire. And then we get to the molten lava looking part. And I think sometimes we might ask ourselves, wow, haven't I suffered enough already? And then a new trial comes. I'm always surprised when I come through that thing that seemed impossible, and I'm still here.
Yes, and better for it.
That's right. Would you mind reading this next excerpt from him?
Glad to. How can I believe that my existence and my purpose are not a cruel joke unless I am begotten by a spiritual life that will sustain my strength and crown my effort? To believe that man's soul is a foundling laid on the doorstep of a merely physical universe, crying in vain for any father who begot him or any mother who conceived him, is to make our highest life a liar. Quote. Underneath our experience, there must be meaning. Meaning weaves through all of our experience and ties it together to make it purposeful and ultimately triumphant rather than just random and meaningless.
I can't help but think quite a bit about President Nelson lately, as he recently passed away, and what wisdom he might have shared on this matter. I remember once he was responding to a particular tragedy and saying, people are going to wonder, how could a loving God allow this to happen? And he reminded us that one of his greatest gifts he's given us is agency. And unfortunately, fortunately, he won't take that away.
Yes.
From anyone, including people who are going to use that agency to get gains or tools or things by means that are not right and that make others suffer. I think that though we live through sometimes what is debilitating unfairness, we can lean back on knowing that there's a purpose to life, and that it's not all this joke, this meaningless, little blip that we are.
No matter how serious the difficulty, no matter how tragic the process, we can be assured that God can turn anything into a blessing ultimately. And we may not see it in our lifetime or with our mortal eyes, but we can rest assured that no mess we make is beyond his ability to create something beautiful.
Yeah. So, Wally, I wonder, how can we transition these thoughts into something applicable? I'm thinking about, maybe there's a listener out there who's going through something really difficult, looking for meaning or purpose or comfort. And when I've gone through hard times, I don't know if my number one favorite thing to hear is, "Don't worry, Sarah, there's a purpose in all this." Right in the middle of it.
Yeah, yeah. That's hard to hear then.
It is.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
In my mind, faith is partly about creating a space for God to express his goodness, to believe that while we don't understand how it will all be made right, to believe that he can and will and is determined to do that is what I think is at the heart of faith. In my view, faith is the stubborn resolve to see God's goodness in everything that happens. Sometimes it requires us to hit the pause button and say, right now I'm hurt and sad and lonely, disappointed, and I don't see God's goodness. But if we'll hit the pause button and say, I know there's a lot I don't understand yet. I'm going to give this some time. I'm going to allow God to inform my mind and soften my heart. And then we'll hit play again when I'm ready to hear his message to me. So sometimes in our lives, I think we're wise to not insist on answers right away, but to allow God some time to help us see his purposes.
As a young parent, I have children that want things right now.
Yes.
Quite often. And I have to tell them, we're just not quite ready for that yet. We have to wait. And I think about these positions of giving and receiving and how our readiness can be really dependent on different circumstances. And I wonder if maybe sometimes we're not quite ready to receive something that God has for us. And if we're in a difficult place, we can say in our prayers, Lord, I'm hurting, and help me to be ready to receive some healing, in thy time.
Yes.
And I think that we can encourage our friends when they're hurting to hold on with that pause button, maybe engaged, and to know that we'll be there for them and that the Lord will be there for them. Then maybe we take it in our prayers to pray for them to have that readiness when they can. And
Yeah.
boy, I am so thankful for the role that faith has played during my trials. And I hope that someone listening to this today can just take away the desire to want to feel faith.
Yes.
In whatever they're going through.
What you said about little children is so informative because we are indeed little children, we ourselves. And with children, we often know that when they're in distress is not a good time to try to explain why something happened or to extract lessons from.
Right.
When they're just falling off the bike, it's not a really useful time to talk about better care or better wisdom or whatever. And God in his wisdom knows that when we're hurting, sometimes we need a little time, but with time, he can teach us and say, look how much you've learned. Look how much better you are today because of what you experienced.
Mm-hmm. It's like he's tucking you in at night and saying, remember when you fell off your bike earlier? That really didn't feel very good, did it? And next time we're going to try it in a little different way. I like that, Wally. Thanks for that reminder, because we are, we're all children of God. And I think that sometimes we forget that key word, children.
Yes. Children. Yes. Still in our infancy. Maybe as we face challenges this week that don't make sense to us, can we take a deep breath and pause and allow ourselves time to heal and trust that God will touch our experience and make it meaningful with time?
I think that sounds great. Thanks for sharing your insights and wisdom on that, Wally. And thanks again for joining us today. We hope that you can take something that we've talked about and apply it in your week, and that you feel that little glimmer of faith when things are hard.
Amen.
We'll see you on the next one.
Bye. We hope that some of the quotes we share are meaningful to you and something maybe you'd like to add to your personal collection. If so, go to drwally.com and look under Transformative Truths podcast, and all the quotes as we broadcast them will be available to you to cut and paste into your collection.